It is time for my end of the year book tag. I'm really excited to give you guys my thoughts on so many books because I feel like a lot of the time I'll read something and I will talk about it in a vlog, but I don't talk about it in a sit down video. So this is a way for me to do that and I'm really excited. So make sure you guys subscribe because there's gonna be new videos every single day for all of December for Bookmas. And let's just get into this end of the year book tag. These are really good questions. The first person I saw do this video was Destiny Sidwell, so I will share her channel below where she did this video because I think she got all of these questions from her friendships that messaged her and gave her all of these questions that they wanted her to answer. So the first question, and there are 22 questions or 23 I think. The first question is most disappointing book of the year, and I think for me it will be Restore Me by J.L. Seegers. I thought this was going to be a 5-star read for me. If someone had bet me that this book would be less than 4 stars, I literally would have bet money that they would be wrong. One of you guys, I literally am speechless. One of you guys actually messaged me and you said, hey, I want to let you know that this book is actually described as erotica. I did not know that going into it. One of you guys also asked why I don't like spice. I don't dislike spice. The problem is if I feel like the spice is the only connection that the characters have, that's when I have a problem with spice. If every other page there's spice, but there's no conversations, there are not really any deep thought as to why they care about each other. I'm a words of affirmations girly, that's my love language, and so the conversations I feel are so important to me to really feel the connection of the characters, because I mean anybody can hook up and that's all fun and stuff, but I feel when you're talking about a soulmate or a true love, I need to see both sides. And this book, to me, I just saw so much spice that I feel I missed a lot of their connection. I do think that the author did a great job of relaying how they met and their history with each other, but it showed so much of their history and hating each other that by the time it got around to me actually wanting them to be together, I was I don't have enough I don't have enough evidence as to why I should root for this couple. So I was very surprised that this one was not rated 5 stars and had such a low rating. Another question was, what is the underdog book of the year? And it's definitely Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. This only has 6,000 reviews on Goodreads and it should have so many more. I love this book. Her banter and storytelling is so good. One thing that I really like about her books is that they're all well, not all, but because I haven't read every book of hers, but the ones that I've read, which I've read 2 so far, I literally just found her as an author this year. Her books have some kind of subplot. So in this one, she is going to Tulum because her sister is getting married, and while she's there, she actually starts to like this guy, but her sister is getting married to her ex-boyfriend. So she's I don't want to cause drama. I don't want to make this about me. So she kind of hides her feelings, and her family kind of treats her terribly. And at the same time, there's this guy who's no, you need to put yourself first. And so the whole story is about her really liking this guy, but also him encouraging her to put herself first, to take time for herself, to set boundaries, to say no. I love this book. So if you're trying to find a book where, I don't know, you read about the romance, but also the growth of the character, I feel this is a really good book to read, and it is, you will fly through it so fast. The conversations she has with her family and her absolutely terrible sister are riveting. And then another question is, what is the book that was overhyped? I read Malibu Rising this year by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think this book is super overhyped, not because I don't enjoy Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I've actually read 5 of her books. Read 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I loved. I read One True Loves, which was okay to me. It was mid. I think I rated that one 3 stars. I read Carrie SoDo Is Back, which I rated 4.5 out of 5 stars. I read Malibu Rising, and then I also read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I think I rated that one 4 stars. So out of all the books, I feel this was my least favorite, but it's so hyped up that I was just why are we hyping this one up when she has so many incredible books that could be hyped more than this one? It wasn't bad. I think I rated it 3 stars, but in comparison to all of her other books, I was just this one does not even compare to me. And another question is, what is my favorite book couple? Now I'm adding this one, but I'm not officially finished with this book yet. I am rereading Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren because I read it last year and rated this 5 stars. It is one of my top romances, and if I were to recommend only one romance for people to read, this would be the one. It is just so freaking good. Friends to lovers is my favorite trope. They're also book lovers. They like read together, and their connection as a couple is undeniable. I also love that you get to see them as children and as they grow, and the way Elliot speaks to her is beautiful. Like, I literally love them so much. So I had to include this book because I'm rereading it again this year, and it's a 5-star read for me, and I feel like I'll read it again and again, like every year. So had to include that. Definitely Macy and Elliot are my favorite couple by far. My favorite main character is probably one you guys will be surprised about, and it is Carrie SoDo, and Carrie SoDo is back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually started this book on audiobook, and sometimes I'll start books on audiobook that I'm not sure if I'll enjoy, and I really didn't think that I would enjoy this book because it's all about tennis, and I don't really like sports type books. And Taylor Jenkins Reid, I love all of her writing, but sometimes I'm just afraid that because her books are in fiction and not usually in romance, that I won't like it because I'm not a huge fiction lover. Literally stopped reading this on audiobook and went out and bought the book because I was like, this is too good for audiobook. Like, I love audiobooks, but if something's gonna be like a 4.5 or 5-star read for me, I just need to like have my pages in the book. And so I love this book, and I think what I like most about Carrie SoDo, even though she's kind of unlikable, I like that she's a character that will like not back down in her like confidence in herself. Like, she's a tennis player who's really, really good, and everyone wants her to be like meek, and they want her to be humble and quiet. And I think to a point you should be that way, but when you look at men who play sports, they are so cocky, and they are so like, you know, take all of the like attention on themselves. And I feel like as women, sometimes we're not celebrated to do the same, or we're not encouraged to do the same thing. So I love that for her. I think that this is such a great work of fiction, but it really felt like she was an actual tennis player. Like, I had to look it up later and be like, is she actually a tennis player? And I still think about this book to this day. Another book, which we're at number 6, a book that surprised me, is Fly With Me by Andy Burke. I just randomly picked this book up because I just thought it would be cute, and I was kind of like just flipping through it, and I always look at my words in books before I buy them, and there was a ton of dialogue, so I'm like, cool, I'll probably like it. I try to read as many diverse reads as I can, and this is a queer read, so I was like, you know what, I think this will be fun. Surprised me because no one is talking about this book, and it is so freaking good. I think there's like 1,000 ratings on Goodreads for this book. Granted, it did just come out this year, but like, it just came out this year. Like, how are we not hyping this up? It is so cute. I rated this one 4 stars. There's so much in this book outside of the romance. Both characters are kind of dealing with like family things. One of them is kind of feeling the weight of taking care of her father, and the other character, she's feeling the weight of her family and their anger towards her for like something that has happened in their family. So they're navigating family while they're also trying to navigate life. Also, one of the characters is navigating a wild ex-girlfriend who will not leave her alone and just is so like, I don't know, terrible to her, even though they're like not together anymore. And I think one thing that I love most about this book is it talked a lot about how the past relationships that we have with people can affect our future and current relationships, which I think we don't talk about enough in books. And so one of the characters, as she is interested in this other woman, she is thinking about the things that her ex-girlfriend said to her, like, you're not enough, you're too much, you call me too much, you text me too much, like, you know, have too much anxiety about X, Y, and Z. And so it made her act differently towards this person she was interested in, which I think is so valid, because as humans, like, it's hard for us to forget the negative things that people have said to us. So really love this book, and I think it's definitely a book that surprised me because I thought I would like it, but I didn't think I would be like as obsessed with it as I was. And then a new favorite author that I discovered in 2013, believe it or not, I discovered Kennedy Ryan's writing in 2013. I read Before I Let Go in January. It was, I think, my first read of the year, which started me off kind of in a like good way but bad way, because I rated this 5 stars and I was like, where do I go from here? This is the beginning of the year. So I'm kind of hoping that happens again this year in January, that I'll like read a book that's like so good just to start off the year in the best way. And then I read Long Shot, which I rated 4 stars, and I read Real, which I also rated 4 stars. I've not read anything of hers that I've not rated 4 stars, and these are thick books, but she just knows how to pull at your freaking heartstrings every time. Like, I feel so emotional when I read her books because the characters just feel like they're like actually going through it, and they feel like they're taking you through it as well. Like, I don't know, all these were just so good. Before I let go, 5 out of 5 star read for me, like I said. It is a book that has had every friend of mine who has read it just turn into a pile of tears and it's just absolutely sobbing. I think I'm gonna make a video with my 23 best books of the year, because I made like a 23 worst books of the year. This will definitely be on it, but let me know if you guys want to see a video like that, because I think it would be nice to share like my favorites of the year. And then a book that is my, let's see, where are we at? Happiest read of the year. I actually have 2 of them because I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I think this was my happiest and like quickest read. I found her for the first time, like her books are so good, but I found her writing for the first time this year. Absolutely love it. Her banter is unmatched. I just feel like she is hyped up for a reason, and it's because her books are incredible. But I also want to include, and I try to include books that maybe people don't talk about as much, because I don't want to like regurgitate, you know, the same books that everyone like talks about. So I included 2 because I read Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. Rated this 4.5 out of 5 freaking stars. I also rated this 4.5 out of 5 stars. These were my happiest reads. I read this on vacation, and I feel like if you're on vacation, the book has to be good. I don't know if anyone else is like that. Like, if a book is like just subpar, it's bad on vacation to me. Like, I have to have a good book on vacation, otherwise I'm just gonna like not be interested. I feel like this book is it's so good. It reminds me of Happy Place by Emily Henry, not because of the storyline, but the writing is kind of similar. It's about, what is her name? She's like Sam. Sam has this seemingly perfect life. She is engaged to this guy that she's been with for a while. She has the perfect job. Everything's kind of like perfect, but she doesn't feel like it's perfect. Like, she's like checking off the boxes of like, okay, I'm gonna get married soon, okay, I'm gonna do this soon, and I might get a promotion soon, but she doesn't really enjoy her job. She doesn't really enjoy her life. And so she actually goes back to her hometown, where her family is like super free-spirited, and they're very different than the person that she is like now in the book, because she's very rigid, and she's also kind of engaged to a super rigid guy. But her family is like, they have sand that they track throughout the house, they're always in and out at the beach, and they're just like, they are very free-spirited. So she takes her fiance back to that area because they're thinking about getting married there. And her fiance is like, why are they like so weird? Like, they're kind of quirky. She's like, well, they're like a part of me. Like, that's my family. But she realizes that there's so many parts of herself that she's kind of hidden and like pushed away because she wanted to be like perfect. And then her ex-boyfriend is also there, and he is a freaking just like, I can't get over it. Like, their connection is one of those undeniable ones, and they had a really, really intense relationship, and she thought he was the one, and they ended up breaking up. You do end up finding out later why they broke up, and it's like an actual legit reason, which I'm like, okay, that makes it even harder, because they broke up, and I think they broke up and like moved away from each other, and then they just didn't talk. So it's one of those books. I love it so much, and I wish more people would read it, because it was just, I think it's even better than her other book, Nora Goes Off Script, that I feel like people have talked about. This one was incredible. I think my most frustrating book of the year was Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, and I think it's because I just genuinely did not like how the main character was like going after this like guy. Like, to me, in a romance, the person who like kind of messes up or whatever should be the person who's kind of like groveling and trying to like figure things out, and I feel like he didn't do that. So I just was like, girl, like, stand up. I just couldn't deal with it. It also was a very like weird concept, because they like met each other and then they didn't talk for years, and she still was like kind of in love with him and stuff. And I don't know, I was just like, you guys didn't even really have that great of a connection to begin with. So wasn't my biggest, like, my best book of the year for sure. Definitely a frustrating read. The best adaptation of the year was definitely The Summer I Turned Pretty. You guys know I'm not a big TV watcher, but this is one series that I loved. And I also read the books, and I feel like the books are very similar to the show. I still need to finish the show, but it is really good. And I rated the whole series 4 stars because I just feel like they're very nostalgic. They remind me of like falling in love and like just, I don't know, just younger nostalgic life, like when you're a kid. And then the book that is the longest book that I read this year is A Little Life by Hanya Yagahara, and this book was 816 pages of wasted space. Some of you guys have said like in my last video that I did like worst books of the year, you're like, you know, I understand why you don't like it. And I can understand why you do like it. Like, I get it. Like, there's something about when an author writes really like traumatic things in a book. I feel like we as humans just feel connected to them because we want them to win. But I feel like the author was almost manipulating the reader because they know that that's the case. Like, the harder things you put in the book for the character to overcome, the more we're gonna be like, you got this, come on, like you can do it. And this book was like just so much. And I do think that I really enjoyed the friendship aspect that was in this book. I feel like the characters were very real because as your friend, if you're friends with someone for years and years, like your friendship will ebb and flow. And I think that this did a great representation of that. I also feel like the writing was pretty good in some points. Like, I just couldn't put it down at some points, and then other times I was like, okay, I'm so bored because there was not very much dialogue. It was so long, and I'm so glad that's over. And then the shortest book that I read was Take a Chance by Mieko May. I rated this book 4 stars, and it's only 61 pages. It felt like a full novel. Like, it didn't feel long or anything, but like it felt like it wrapped up perfectly. And when I finished it, I was like, did I just read like a whole book? Like, it felt, because a lot of times I feel like novellas, they leave you wanting more. There's bits and pieces that they don't like wrap up, and you're just kind of like, that didn't feel like a real book. It felt like a piece of a book, and this did not feel like that. I really enjoyed this book, and I hope she has more books in the future. And then, because I think that was her debut book, the prettiest book cover, I think, of the year is There Goes the Neighborhood by Jada Dia. This is actually a debut author as well, and I just like the cover because it gives nostalgia. Like, when I was younger and would read books by authors, I feel like my books usually looked like this. Like, they had people on the cover, and you can see like the neighborhood, the main characters here, but then you can see Kofa Park and Soci Avenue. You can see her friends, you can see more friends down here, and there's just so many, like, so much in this picture. There's flowers around the edges, and there's the city, and this is actually a book about gentrification where she's like super close with her family and friends, and they all live in this area, and new businesses start coming in and tearing down the old ones, and they start raising the prices, so people have to move. So her and her friends decide to like create a fake gang so that people like don't want to come in and create these businesses. But with that, it created a lot of fear, and so they're like, should we stop the gang? Because it's not even a gang. Like, they literally just created the illusion of a gang. They like went around and were like making these little videos where people thought that there was like a gang going on. And so they're like, should we like stop doing this? Like, is it actually gonna save the town? So it created a lot of drama, and I really enjoyed it. There also is a mini subplot of romance, very mini, but it was really a nice addition. And then the books that I have not stopped thinking about, you guys know, Magnolia Parks. I don't have book 1 because one of my friends is actually borrowing it, but I actually did end up buying another book 1 because my friend's been borrowing it for a while, and I just want it because I think I'm gonna read it again before Into the Dark comes out, which is like next February, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that because I have so many books on my TBR, I might not get to it, but we'll see. I rated Daisy Hates and Magnolia Parks, the first 2 books in this series, I rated them 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then the last 2 books, The Long Way Home and The Great Undoing, I rated them 5 out of 5 stars. So this whole series, these characters feel real. They feel like they're actual friends of mine. And I cannot wait until the next book. Her quotes in these books are just incredible, and I think the reason why I want to read them again is because I kind of want to annotate Magnolia Parks, and I'm not a big annotator, but the quotes are just unreal. Like, I just found myself wanting to go back and look through like the quotes that really stuck out to me, but I can't look through it because I haven't annotated it. So that's a thought. I'm thinking about doing it, haven't decided yet. A book that was the cringiest book of the year is definitely A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I actually enjoyed this book. I still recommend this book to people, but it was so cringy. He calls her Poppy Min, and throughout the whole book, he's like, they kind of treat each other like babies, like a little bit, and it was really sweet. But there was actually a point, I was reading this, I think on our way to Germany, and I was telling Brady, I was like, if I wasn't listening to the playlist that goes with this book, I don't think that I would actually like it as much as I do, because the playlist was making it very cinematic and it was making it feel like a movie. But without it, I'm like, oh, this is so cringy. But it was like a good cringy, you know? You guys know I love happy, fluffy books. So like anything that's cringy, I'm like actually here for it. A book that is an unpopular book that I loved. This book is unpopular, but not because it's like bad or anything. It's just because people have not found it. Unconditional by Sean. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars, and this book was really, really good. I think that this book is unpopular. Not unpopular, I want to say it's more underrated than unpopular, because there's only 400 reviews on Goodreads, but they're all super high ratings. And I really like this book because the main character is literally afraid to like fall in love, because you read this in the first like 2 pages of the book, but she fell in love with someone and pretty much they broke her heart in like an absolutely terrible way, and she'd been dating them for forever. So after that relationship, she's like, I am not going to trust anyone. And the reason why she doesn't want to trust anyone is valid. But I think, again, I love books like this where I can see the depth and growth of a character, because she's kind of annoying at the beginning because she is really just like looking out only for herself. So the book is about her best friend who is in love with her and has had feelings for her for so long, and he literally is like, I love you, and she's just like, I don't know if I can trust that, like, you know. And it's just like such a good representation of how as humans it's hard for us to trust other people. So she's talking to multiple guys, and like her best friend's well aware of that because they are not together. So then he's kind of like, well, why don't we just be friends with benefits? Because I think he wants to get like a little, like, you know, he cares about her. So he wants to be as close to her as possible. And so she's like, okay. And you can read this again, all in the back of the book. And then it gets messy. So this one was a good one. I also loved how she was dating multiple guys, because I think that that's also a very real thing, and I think you don't see that as often in books. But if you're not like boyfriend, girlfriend with somebody, like, why should you not have the ability to figure out who you like, you know? So she like goes, you know, to dinner with one guy, and then she like goes, and I think she goes to a movie with another guy, and it's a very good book. And then a book that is the highest and lowest book that I read on Goodreads, and do I agree, is the first book is Fast by Millie Belizaire, and this book was rated 4.8 out of 5 stars. And I rated this 4 out of 5 stars and 4.5 out of 5 stars, and love this book. I rate this, like, I've recommended this so many times to people, like I can't even count. And I think that I would actually like rate this 5 stars if I had gotten that 5-star feeling. The only reason I didn't is literally because that I just didn't get that 5-star feeling. But I feel like maybe if I reread it, I would. I don't know. I love this book so freaking much. And I only do ratings that are like 4.5, 5, 4, 3.5, 3, just to like make things easier. But I feel like if I did like ratings like 4.8 or 4.7, I would definitely like rate this like that. It would be like a 4.9. And I think what I love about it is it starts at age 8, where the character is 8, but it goes through her, I think, turning like 30 or 31. and you see her go through so much trauma. Definitely check the trigger warnings for this one because she goes through so much. But while she's going through this hardship, she has a neighbor who she's been really connected with her entire life, and he pretty much like helps her through life in a way and is just like a good support system for her while she's navigating like hardship. Whew, it's good. It's so hard, but it's also really good. And then the lowest rated book is Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. This was rated 3.2 stars, and I actually rated this 3.5 stars, so I don't think I'd agree with this rating, just because I mean, I don't want to say, because 3.2 is pretty close to 3.5, but I don't think it could go up from 3.5, but I just don't think that I would rate it that low. One thing that I really liked about this is that there are not a lot of trans, like, books about trans characters that are not, I don't know, like, I feel like this book is so honest. Like, it's hard to even explain like my feelings in reading this book, because not only was I reading about two characters figuring like themselves out, but I think what I liked the most was as two trans characters, they both, well, actually I'm not sure if one was trans or not, but as two queer characters, I think they both did such a great job of showing how just they were figuring out themselves and life, their sexuality, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I don't think you see that often. I feel like a lot of the time you might see a character figuring out if they like someone or not, but one thing that I really enjoyed while I was reading this was one of the characters was not sure what pronouns they wanted to be associated with, and they share that they wanted their friends to call them a certain name, and then they kind of changed their mind, and they were just like figuring life out, and I think that that was really cool to read. So I don't know, I don't think I would go down, so I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because 3.5 I think was such a good rating. And I think I read a lot of comments from people, and they were saying that one of the characters was kind of insufferable. And all I kept thinking was, because they're like, oh, that character would like ask their mom for money like every other day. And I'm like, okay, do you realize that they're in like high school? Did you not ask your parents for money in high school? Even if you knew that they weren't gonna give it to you, like, did you not ask them? Like, and it's not like they were asking for $100. They were asking for like 10 bucks. So I just think that the author did a great job of creating real characters, going through real things, navigating through real thought processes and friendships and sexuality and everything. So I enjoyed it, and I definitely wouldn't agree with the rating. And then another question was the favorite quote of the year, and my favorite quote of the year was actually from In This Moment by Kayla Shawn, and this book only has, I'm pretty sure, like 400 reviews on the book, and it actually just hit 400 reviews like this summer. So it still is like a very small book, but I actually like immediately bought the second book in the series because I love this one so much. My favorite quote, I have to like pull it up on my phone because I don't even remember what page it's on, but I did read it in the vlog while I was reading this book, and the quote says, "How do I explain how I feel without scaring you off? Explain that something inside of me recognizes something inside of you, that your spirit feels familiar, that I know the wall you hide behind wasn't to keep me out, that rather than tearing it down, I'd like nothing more than to join you inside of it so you won't always be alone." Freaking cute. And it goes on even further, but I'm just gonna like stop there because I just absolutely loved it. And another question was a book with the most unique concept. I think the most unique concept that I've read in any book is Their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. I rated this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Loved it so freaking much. Like, literally, the author created such a cool concept because, oh my gosh, I'm just realizing that if you look closely into the book, you can see like a girl riding on a horse, you can see a maze. I didn't even realize it's like behind the hand in here. But if you like Squid Games, you will like this book because it's pretty much the exact same concept. All of these people, they have pretty much decided that they want to win the Vicious Games, and it's like a challenge they have every year, and once you win, you get like this, I don't even know how to explain it. You pretty much get like very notable. Like, people just see you as like very established, you get money. And so this girl wanted to get that because she wanted to get back into an Ivy League because she got kicked out for a specific reason, which you learn in the book. And it is wild because she's an underdog. A lot of the other characters who are in the games, they're actually already rich, but they want to be like richer, they want to be more successful, they want to be looked at as like of higher esteem. So you don't really know who to trust in this book because all the other people are rich except for this one girl who's like trying to make it. It is so good. And then the book that I want to reread, As If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I would have said Love in Other Words, but I'm already rereading it, so I didn't want to say it again. This book was a 5 out of 5 star read for me, but I think I want to read this again because the second book comes out next year, and it's actually supposed to be from Finn's perspective. And this is a book about Autumn and Finn, and they are both neighbors, but they're very, very different. Finn, he's like popular. Autumn, she's like not popular at all, and they were really close. And then when they went to school, they realized like those two groups cannot really interact without people like making fun of them. So it talks a lot about like growing up, learning to love yourself and how you are, no matter how unique you are. This is a YA book, so I think it fits really well with that. There's also romance in it, but I think that the plot of like friendship and figuring yourself out and finding out who you are, I think is the hero of the book. And then the like romance is definitely like a heavy subplot, but I think that the thing that stuck out to me the most were how the characters were trying to figure themselves out, which I enjoyed. And another question is, what is a reading goal reflection and a 2024 reading goal? My reflection for this year for my reading goal, I think I've read like 160 books so far. I'm a little behind on my Goodreads, just like updating it because I've been so busy. But as of right now, it says that I've read 155 books, but I have finished some of the books that are like, I'm literally looking at them right now and I've finished them. So I think by the time this video goes live, I'll finish like right at 58 books or 60 books or somewhere in there. And a reading goal reflection for me is that I actually had a goal of 100 books to read this year. And at the beginning of the year, I was reading a lot, but not like as much as I'm reading now. And then like middle of the year, I started reading like 16 books a month, 17 books a month, 19 books a month. And then towards the end of this year, I've kind of gotten back to like 10 books a month, 12 books a month. I think well, not 10 books a month, but last month I think I read 12 books, and the month before that I read like 15. So I think my reflection is just that I want to have a reading goal for next year, and I might make it like similar to what it is now, maybe 100 or maybe 120 or something, but I want to just be like looking for the best books. Like I think this year I read a lot of books that people recommended and that they said were good, but towards the end of the years when I started reading books that I thought would be good and not just like looking at people's reviews and really finding like what I like best. And I think that that has served me really, really well and has helped me find some really good books. And my 2024 reading goal, I think again, I'll probably put it at, I don't know, I thought about putting it at 160 books because like that's kind of what I've read this year, or like 170. But then again, I want to not, like I'm really weird about goals and like numbers, and like if I don't hit a goal, I feel like I'll feel some type of way. So I don't know, I have to think about it. I'll definitely figure it out by, you know, the next year. And then what am I prioritizing in 2024 with my reading? I think what I want to prioritize most is taking my time on a book if I really enjoy it. Because sometimes when I enjoy a book, I just read it so fast because I love it, but then it's over, you know, then it's gone. And so I think I want to annotate more. I didn't really annotate like at all this year. I have a little bit on my Kindle Scribe because it's so much easier because it's like already in my hand. But I think I want to really focus on that. And I also think that I want to focus on like really getting through my TBR because I have so many good books already on my bookshelf that I have not gotten to, and they're just like incredible. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the little recs that I showed you guys and the books that I've loved. And I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next one. Bye guys.